because Torrance is recording most of these. I cannot get under here for the life of me, and it does my head in completely. So, Torrance, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to create a new document. And I cannot get rid of this because it's just not allowing me to hide. There we go. Hide, 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 hide. Here we go. It's going to allow me to hide. Okay. You're going to create a new document, and it's going to be 11 by 8.5 inches at 144. This is for if you don't have InDesign. You're going to create it. Here it is, right? Then what you're going to do, this is 100, and it is, I think it's about 1600. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to go to your view, and you're going to do your snap to, and you're going to snap. And what I'm going to do, that's going to allow us, I think we want 750, 800, 750. You make it, it's not snapping to any grid at the moment. Oh, that does not look right. 750, what's half of 750? 770. Let's do 800. Let's just do 800. You're going to break the page in half, right? This just shows you how to break the page in half. So when you're doing this, all you have to do, Torrance, is bring in the image just like what is shown on the format, right? So every single assignment gives you exactly what needs to be up and running. So if you're doing class portfolio, you're doing the past selfie, I actually set it up. You can download the InDesign here, but it does show you exactly here what it needs to look like. So it shouldn't be a hard problem doing it in Photoshop, right? Because in this one, it tells you exactly, same as anything, you just get your image. So if I'm going to go to my Photoshop image, you have, this is the original, and that's the original, and then this is what the two images look like, and that is your favorite. Every single assignment has it. Does that help you, Torrance?
Yes.
I mean, it's just basic, and you've done all the tools, every single InDesign. If you don't have InDesign, there's another one. There's 2 ways to download it. You can do it in Photoshop. You now have the skills for it. Okay?
Okay.
So that means I have to put, for example, oh my God, there's a beautiful picture of Angela. This is the original picture of Angela, okay? We copy it, we go Command C or edit copy, right? Then I go to my new document over here, right? And it should be under here. I'm slouching. And then I edit paste. I transform it, Command T, or go edit transform. And then I just, that's it, done. That's it. Reduce it. And if you have a look there, this one here, I hit return. Just out of interest's sake is, I'll go back over to my document page, this little page here. Do you see that, Torrance?
Yes, I see it.
So it's pretty easy to do in Photoshop, just like it is if you don't have InDesign, right? And then you just layer the images here. Like this is going to be Angela Cohen, right? And then we can go. Do you have any other questions you want to ask?
Yes. For my Act 3 Monster Mash Part 1, what do you mean when you say hand in the working desktop screenshot?
So I didn't see the working desktop screenshot. Let me just save this. Portfolio Act 4. So the working desktop screenshot is, this is a thing. So if this is what I call the working desktop. It shows all the layers. It shows you the rulers. It shows you, and even if I go to another one, which is probably a better one to show you, not that one. Let's go here. Me selfie, hold on. Me Edith, I'm trying to find, here it is. So when I say this is your working desktop, I want to see your layers. I want to see your layers named. I want to see the rulers, right? So I know the exact size of the document. And then you take a screenshot of this. And that is what I call the working desktop. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you know how to make a screenshot?
Yes. I know how to make a screenshot.
Okay, so the screenshot is just showing me, because if I'm going to look at these, I need to know they're the correct size, that you're naming your layers. This one, you actually have to put them in folders, right? This is the American Gothic here, right? That's another folder. There's Edith. That's two in the same color. I control click on that, and I'm going to do it as Seafoam, right? So
Yeah.
it's all colored. All right. So you
Yes.
actually have to put them in folders. Does anyone else have any questions while we're on this? No more questions? Seriously? Then we can finish the class now. Awesome.
I
Right.
was having trouble with the folders with this one.
Okay.
Trying to section out like in each one. I don't know if I was layering them incorrectly or in the wrong order. I was trying to put them into the folders for the groups. Um, and making like the hue adjustments and the contrast and the brightness and things like that. And it kept affecting the entire photo rather than just the face, my face on there.
Sure. So there's two reasons for that. It depends on which one you use. So, for example, here I am here. Here's Edith, right? I want just that affecting Edith. Edith is under the folder if you have the folder selected. If I select this, you can go down to the bottom here. That's your layers mask. Or you can create a new fill or adjustment layer here. So let's have a look. I'm going to do a new filter and adjustment filter, right? And I'm going to do hue and saturation. There we go. I'm just going to admit someone in, right? So here it is, hue and saturation. It really depends on which way you choose. So I can colorize. Now, this will do it to everything underneath, right? Everything. If you use this one here in the layers, because it affects everything underneath, right? But I'm going to cancel this. I'm going to go Command Z. If you go up, I'm going to delete that, right? Ugh. Delete that. There we go. I'm going to take that off the properties, which should actually be up here somewhere, but it's not doing it. Under here, you go under image, adjustments, and then you apply your adjustments to that layer, right? So let's have a look at black and white, right? It will only affect the layer. Do you see the difference there?
Yes, I do.
So it's just a simple thing. And there is also a bit of a difference with this regards to this is these ones here that you're affecting under on the layers are actually simply mathematical equations. All of them are mathematical equations, so they're not really affecting, if it's done here, they're not really affecting the image per se, but when you do it to the actual layer, you will get a bit of what they call deprecation, which means it'll cut a little bit off the quality of the image. That said, we all now listen to Spotify on our iPods or our iPhones, right? Every single one of those does not have the full range of audio that is expected. Every time we listen to something, you'll notice there's no highs and no lows. It's this very monochromatic. And this is all to do with lossy, which is the amount of downloadable information that can be done quickly. Right? Hi there. We've got Sambra. We've got everybody. So that's the beginning of that. Do you want me to take you through a little bit more and just go over? I did a lot of grading yesterday, as you might have seen. And when I do grade, I actually put comments in the rubric. So if you haven't seen the comments, it's actually in the rubric. So you just have to open your rubric. And I think you all have, it seems like, and some people seem to be putting everything like their Padlet and their portfolio in the submission for the assignment, and the participation is the Padlet and the PDF is the portfolio. And if you go to the beginning of every assignment, like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, whatever, you will see exactly what is required for each assignment. I took snapshots, screenshots of what people expected, and then I actually posted them up on the thing. So everybody knows that? So Tyler, now.
Quick question. I didn't know if we were going to be going over the one assignment that's going to be due, well, I'm assuming next week. The I don't know what it was called, but it's the upcoming one. Are we going to be going
That's what I
over
was
that?
just showing you, past selfie. That was me.
Oh, okay. I was wondering if we were going to do a step-by-step, because I was trying to like figure that out.
What did I say? Here we go, Tyler. Torrance has put in the announcements, I copied it, last week's assignment. Bottom line is, it goes through it step by step. I'm going to go over it, like I just said, in a minute. The second, basically, it's putting everything together of what we've learned. Can I say there were some terrific Crimeas, some really fun ones, and I looked at them and I graded them, and then I saw your Padlet posts and was reading them, and so some of them I have to go back and regrade because really clever ones and really fun ones. So this is the culmination of them all, and I'm just going to go through and give you the lowdown on how to do this. I did the left one, which was the Gothic, and this one I'm going to do Edith Cohen. But
All right.
Apart from the question, does anybody have a specific question they need to ask?
You might go over this in going over Edith, but I did add some noise to the picture for one of mine. It was in black and white. I added noise to it, and usually on that layer, it'll show underneath it like the smart filter or something like that, and it'll show that that filter has been added. Same thing with like the Gaussian blur and stuff like that. And for some reason on mine, it's just disappearing. It's giving the effect, but it's not showing it on the layer at all.
Again, let's have a look, and I will have a look at that because, it really depends whether you put it through, which menu bar you put it through. But we'll have a look. And it doesn't, honestly, here's the beauty about doing something like this is it forces you to actually play with the sliders and understand what you are doing, particularly with putting filters through, because filters can work and they are great. But once you've done it once, you're like, oh, now was that Gaussian blur or was that this or was that? All right. You will not be graded necessarily whether you use the filter or not, but I can honestly tell you, I've been doing this long enough to see how to use, whether people use filters or not.
My problem with it is now that I have the filter on there, I can't get rid of the filter.
You can't, and that's the issue about doing the image. But what you can do is you can go back through the history.
Yeah.
And that's right. And that's also often why I duplicate a layer before I start working on it, so that I have a backup in case I completely stuff it up. And more often than not, I stuff everything up.
I think that's where I'm at, and I might just have to redo it because I'm at that point where I may have gone too far in the history to go back.
For sure. Absolutely. Who knows? Okay, so I'll start. Is everybody ready for the screen share? Let's do it. So this is me. We've just taken out the color. I went up to the image and I did adjustments and I just made it black and white. You can do that to the entire image by going up to your mode, and you can do mode and you'll notice grayscale. And that'll flatten everything. I don't want to flatten it. Do I want to discard everything on my adjustments layers? we can discard, and it turns everything black and white, right? But we didn't want to do that. So I just went to my image and I did adjustments and I did black and white, right? So that said, look at that beautiful picture of me. Here I am here. I've got one folder here, and here's the other folder here. We went through this last time, right? And there we go. That was just, it was done jankily, but you can see all the different effects that I could take off, or I could take the eye off there. So I've got this me, Edith. What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the opacity down. There she is. The best thing when you are doing one of this is my photo, this was my painting, is that best thing you can do is get the lighting right, and get the way they look right. You know, if they're looking head on or what, you know, or how it is. That is the biggest part of this assignment. And I have taken photo, right? And you might finally get what you need, right? So let's take this down a little bit and see if we can match it up. It's not bad, but wait till I move it, right? You can tell I've got a very big mouth. Wow, right? Didn't realize that. Okay, very big mouth. My eyes are too high, right? So I'm going to go to my edit, transform, Command T, or I can scale, right? And I know I don't want to see any stretching of images, butch, right? And you try and match it up. My head's different than hers. And also, I'm going to blow it up because I'm a good blower upper. It's getting closer. But look, if I match it up there, right? What's more important, the eyes or we've got completely different heads. Not a problem, right? And I'm going to go down a bit because there we go. Go across. I'm using my keys now. Down. Oh my gosh. So you do it to the best of your ability and you keep doing it until you get what you need. It's getting closer. Okay. Okay. We've got very different heads, but that's fine, right? At the moment, it might have been probably the position and how I took the photo rather than we have completely different looks. Okay. So I've matched up the eyes. I could even rotate the head a little bit, but we're feeling good about that. Any questions? That's the first thing you want to do. Match it up. There you go. There you go. Right? The next thing I want to do is I actually want to select the areas I need. I want that to remain in the image, right? And I really just want my face at the moment. So let me go here and pull out the face. Now remember, if you are using your selection tool, here it is. You can if I do my object selection, it's going to select everything. I don't want everything. I really don't want to. And then I have to spend the time removing what's there. Okay. So what I can do is I can choose other ways to select. I can do quick selection, magic wand, but the one I like to choose at the moment is I'm going to choose the magnetic lasso because it enables me, and I'm going to blow it up big, big. It enables me to trace the image. Do you see that? And we're just going to do a really bad job of it. Now we can trace it down here. There it is. Now I've got this janky bit here. So what I'm going to do is I am going to come here and I am going to minus. Let's see if that's a minus. It says minus. So I am going to, actually, I want to add. So I'm going to add this area here. It's got a plus. I can choose shift if I want to. and then I can choose option and it will minus, or I can do minus. So you can start to do this. I want to minus this, which is option, or I use that properties bar up the top. Right? There's a bit, and you start to see, I'm not going to do it explicitly correctly, but here's the thing that I noticed with a lot of people. People are really good at actually selecting, but one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is feathering. You don't want to feather too much and you don't want to feather too little. I always say 0.25 just to give you that softness, right? Oh, I should have minus so that you can refine. Now, there it is there. Everything can be done back to front. We want an option here. Oop, and we're going to add here. Oop, and then we can minus here. So basically, that's it, right? And I'm going to add. And it should take you a long time, quite a long time to do it. Now we have that selected, right? I can sit here and I can do a layer mask. I go down.
Quick question. Does it have to be someone from like famous in history, or can you just pick any like someone relevant in time with like a black and white photo?
What do you mean by relevant in time?
Or not like that, but like if let's say per se, like if you had like a favorite, like I don't know, like artist, like music artists, and you find like a black and white photo of them, are you able to use like a photo like that, or does it have to be?
No, it has to be. I've got to teach you art history at the same time, right? So it's important that you actually use art history, right?
Yeah.
Too bad. So, sorry. So now that you can see this, I'm going to take it down the opacity a little. You will notice that her hair and my hair do not line up, right? Here it is here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little snippy thing. I'm going to, in this layer, I'm going to add a layer, right? Then I'm going to go back to Edith. I'm going to take this off and I want Edith's hair, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my clone tool. I'm going to make a mark there, here, right? I'm going to select where I want to copy from. I'm then going to go up to the layer and it is at 20. The brush stroke is 20. It's a little soft, but not too soft. There's my opacity. It's normal. I'm going to go over here and I can blow it up and make sure, right? And I can now put that on the layer above. Let me show you what's happening by put me there. I am now, if you can tell, copying Edith's hair onto a layer above. Does everybody see that? Yes, no, maybe, 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 maybe.
Yes.
Right? Now, that's a way of you enabling you to make sure. Now, here's the issue here. I would have preferred my head to be a little bit bigger than what it is, because what's happening is I can't get rid of all my hair, right? I can try, but I would have probably done it a little bigger, and we want to get rid of all this around here. So that's number one of your cloning. Once you start cloning, you will realize that you have many options on how to blend. Now, notice, this is her face. This is my face. They do not match, right? So it might have been better to come back here, Command T, and maybe made it a little bigger. Do you see that? So that the ears match, right? That's your discretion. Please notice when I do something after I've started this, I'm going to drop it down a little, right? So, but after I've started this, please notice this area here is where I haven't cloned, right? So I have to go back to Edith, take this off, maybe choose this area up here, option click, put that on, go to this layer, and come down here, and that puts it on top. Does everybody see that? It's pretty cool. Cloning's pretty cool, right? Now that you've done this, right, now that we've got, it's looking okay. The problem here is the color of my skin. That means I have to come back to this layer, right, and I can go to my layer adjustments. Now, this is where you decide, this is where it's up to you. I can do my brightness and contrast. I'm not a fan of brightness and contrast because brightness just adds white, which isn't bad for this, right? But in a lot of them, just adding white isn't enough. But do you see how now I'm getting closer to what it is, right? I can add some contrast. Not so much, right? Maybe a bit more white. That's another way of doing it, right? We go, okay. So now, notice I need it darker on this side. How am I going to get it darker on that side? Good question, right? Any thoughts, people? No? Okay.
Oh, sorry. Am I?
You can do a layer mask, which means you could, the first thought is probably is I should have noticed the light, right? I should have noticed where the light is. The next thing you can start to look at before any of this, you want to be able to blend this in here. So obviously it's not 100%. You want to go under your image adjustments. You can look at levels and curves. Curves I like because it takes out, right? It's making it a little bit better, right? And also this takes the light out, look, and this puts it back in. So you can do changes to what you've got, right? Curves is a way of adding, and we did it the threshold. It changes the threshold. Notice that this, depending on where it sits on the line, this will take out the blacks. You'll notice that this does the blacks, the darks, right? And so this, I'm going to cancel that for the moment, is the same as the adjustments. And here is your levels. And this is your threshold, which is not the automatic threshold, but you will notice a good image has a bit of very, very dark and a bit of very, very light. And then there's everything in between. So look, it's doing essentially the same. A good image should have a bit of this, right? And a bit of that, not too much. It's telling me here it's too light. There's my output, and it's playing with these. Does everybody see that? The other thing you can do is you go to your filter and you go to your filter gallery. Here's your filter gallery. If I go to this filter gallery, right, you can actually blow it up and you can start to play with the sliders. So at the moment, this is colored pencil, not what we want. Dry brush, possible, right? Change the brush size, right? Change the brush detail. You can play with this. Do you want texture or no texture? You can do palette knife. Oh, wow. At least that looks better for me, right? Brush size. There's so many filters in there, but once you start, right, you want to make sure that you know what you were doing with the sliders, right? Any questions about these brush strokes? Ooch. Right? And now, once you start playing with these, you will notice that a lot of those fancy tricks that everybody says that you think they're doing really good stuff are just filters, and you can buy filters, right? There we throw our filter on. Now, we notice with the filter, we have to blend images like this in, which means you have to come here. There's your brush tool. There's your spot healing brush tool. Here's your blur tool, areas of the image. Let's have a look at our blur tool. And we have to be on the right layer, right? And it'll take a lot to get the blur tool going in on here. Do you see it's just over and over? It's 14, it's normal, 100% strength. So that's where a lot of the problems happen. And you can also come under here and do, that's the sharpen tool, and this is the smudge tool. You've got to play with it. I would also come in here and double click on this, right? And then I would go to my tool here. I would come here and I would soften it, 40% hardness, so it's really soft. Bring the size down, right, to about 14. We want to add to it. Let's see what happens if we add. So we're not adding, we're going to take away. You can start to soften that edge. But you've got to work at it and make a decision. What is more important? That her hair there, or actually your hair or your ear? That's where you've got to make these choices and change them, right? And it might be, here's another option. So we go hit return, right? And the other thing it might be is once you start playing is, here's your eraser tool. That is to erase. I use the eraser tool a lot, right? I'm going to come to my opacity, bring my opacity down, and I'm going to quietly wait a second, Command Z, come here and quietly see if I can erase. Do you see how I'm slowly blending it and erasing it here? Does everybody see that?
Yes.
So right? So I'm actually blending it. So there's all these tools that you can use to create your image. Now, any questions thus far?
I have two. So
Yeah.
for the first one, if we're in the same situation where you have a photo that is one solid lighting and does not match the uh shading or the lighting of the original photo, could we copy the image layer, make that one darker, and then erase it to match the shadow area of
You could do that, right? But
Mhm.
another thing you can do, which I'm pretty sure, let me see if I can do this, is I have started a new layer. I'm going to come here with a new layer and do a selection. And if my gradation tool is working, I will gradient tool. Last week it wasn't working. So classic gradient. And it should be, I should be able to double click on this and it should, for some reason, it's not allowing me. Where's my gradient tool? Here, let's pull the gradients out. I don't want circle. I want Command Z, gradients. Let's do gradient classic. Add a new one. And we're going to go from I want to do right. So did I put that on another layer? Oh no, that's on top, right? So if I have something like this, then I should be able to in theory, do a gradient this way, and the gradient should turn up. But there's my black and there's my white. So it's caused the gradient to be here and not there. So let's see if it'll do it this way. I should be able to, in theory, be able to put the gradient across like that. And do you see how? I'm going to go back here. I'm going to go to the layer on top. I'm going to do this. It's not a circular. It should be this one here. Right? And I should, in theory, be able to make a gradient layer of it, but it's not going to. So that does not work. Let me do it here and do it here. It'll slow. Do you see how it's slowly doing it? Do you see that? As I do it slowly, it'll slowly pull it out, but you have to do it very slowly. So I'm actually creating the gradient on the mask. So that's another way of doing it. The other option is, seriously, the other option is you really have to, you can put a color gradient on top of it. So I could come here, right? I could add something here and I can double click here. I don't want the red there, so I'm going to delete it, trash it, right? I want a little bit of darkness there. I want it to go here, right? My type is solid. I can do it as a bit of noise. Nope, we don't want noise. You want solid. This is how you're creating, right? You want to make it new. You can say it custom face, right? You click OK. And on this top layer, you can simply quietly, right? Where are you? Oh, come on. There it is, right? Not to Command Z. Let's do it across here. If you have the correct shape, and then you can pull the opacity down, right? So it darkens it like that. So instead of having a square, you'd have the shape of the actual. Do you see that? No?
Yes.
So instead of having the square, what I would have done is I probably would have done this. Watch this, right? If that's where you want your shadow, right? Mine happens to be black, correct? I go back to the gradient, which I've got the gradient, and I would do it, right? That's not quite right. No, I think I want it further over here. I'm just going to pull it so it's further, right? I might do it further over here, right? And then I pull the, do you see that? Opacity down, right?
Yes. Is there a way to in the gradient tool to make it just clear to black, or do you just have to change the coloring mode to
You have to change the coloring mode too. And the gradient, right? Here's your window. There's your gradient property. There it shows you gradients. Do you see that? Once you have to click on that to get a new gradient. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right. So here's your smoothness. Here's this. Here's your opacity. You can put the opacity down to 0 if you want. Do you see that?
Yes.
Right? Every time, and you can click here, and that'll give you your location, which is saying we're halfway. This actually moves it this way, or you can move it that way. Do you see that way? And you can also come here, right? And you can, there it is at 100%, and you double click here to get your color, right? That adds a color in there. Do you see that? Yep. Here it is here. I can put the opacity up. It can go down to 0 or it can go all the way. Do you see that? This is your location. To get rid of it, click it there, trash it. Okay? Does that help?
Yes, a lot. Thank you.
Does anyone else? So that, do you want me to go over? So that's your gradient. So all of these properties come under your window. Do you see that gradient? Color, clone source, right? This tells you where your clone source is, all the mathematics to it. And you also get the gradient up here. Do you see this? And this tells you where it actually is, what it actually is. You can come here. They do have pre-ranged ones, right? There it is there. And that'll apply to where my selection is, right? Do you see that? This is where you draw from. Click, drag, right? That gives you your click, drag. That gives you what your color selection and where it's actually going. So remember, you've got your clones, you have to blend, you have to make decisions, right? I'm going to get off that. Down here, you want her clothing, so I have to fix up the neck, right? To fix up the neck, how do I do it? I can do it this way. Take this off. Notice, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. She's got all this jewelry. And this has a different, very soft filter on it. How do I get what it is? I'm going to come here, right? There's my gradient fill. I am going to click on Edit. I'm going to go to my clone tool. And there's so many more tools, but this is just starting, right? I'm going to option click here, right? I'm going to add a new layer. I should be naming these layers, by the way, and I'm not. And I'm going to come up here and start to paint it in. All right, let's have a little look. What's happening? Let's click Angela, and you will notice this will also help with getting the texture on the face, right on the neck. But notice over here, it jumps all the way over here. We've got it here too. And then you start your blending. It's pretty cool, actually. Any questions? And you can soften this over time. This shows you where you need to make and how dark things need to make. And, you know, you can do it, your opacity down, right? You can add a bit of noise. You can dissolve, right? You can use your layers as a way of, you can multiply. So you can, when you're cloning, you can softly multiply. So that softens it a little, right? And then you can come in and you can blur, which means then you can come in with your smudge tool, right? You're on this layer and you slowly, takes a lot to smudge, by the way. It's just soft. And you might even want to come in with your eraser tool, push it down, push the opacity down. So it softens that, right? You might even go down to a really low opacity. Any more questions?
Really quickly, if we wanted to for the painting or the photo, could we add like makeup or something like that on our face to kind of match?
Yes, gosh, yes. If there's red lips, yes. Absolutely add the color too.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. 100%. And you can change the eyes. Like last week, I think we changed the eyes, right? So if I wanted to change and make these eyes blue, right? So here we are here. I can come here and there's a couple of ways. You can often use I'm going to come here and use the magic tool. This is the tolerance, and what the magic tool is, it selects the same color, approximately the same color in the area. So here, I think, are you letting me pick it up, darling? Come on. Let me do my tolerance up. Let's see if I can do a 30 tolerance. Tolerance is the amount of pixels it collects. It's not doing it. Why aren't you doing it? What is your problem? Let's see if we can pick up why it isn't doing it. No idea. Let's try this one. Let's take this one out and put this one here. I don't know why it's not doing it. It's not going to pick up any of it. We hate you, right? Okay. What I'm going to do I'll do it this way. I'm going to do it my magic selection, and I'll just show you just magic selection. Let's just do this. Do, 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 right? Oh, you're not going to let me select. I think it's because it's masked. I'm going to do a new layer here, right? And I'm just going to magic select this. You select the area you want to color. Who knows? Why isn't it doing this? There's something going on my computer and I don't know what it is. Oh, I'll see if it'll do the eclipse here. No, you see, there's something going on. I've got something weird going on in my computer. Uh-oh, let's do this. Let's come here, add this, and see if it allows me to do it here. Nope, have no idea what is going on. It should allow me to select this, make a selection. Let me just Command D. See if that does it. Yeah, I had select something else selected. So I can come to my image, select the area I want. I can go edit. This is where you can change the color. Fill, right? Now I want to fill with foreground color, or I can choose the color. Let's have a look and see if it allows me to choose. I want blue eyes. Here it is, right? And I fill it, right? It makes it blue, but it makes it look like a dead blue. So what I'm going to come here is I'm going to, again, pull the opacity down, right? Command D, and there you go. You start to get a blue eye. Do you see that? So yes, you can either paint it in, or you could simply right? Come here, edit, fill. I can choose the color. Come on. Let's do red. It's on the same layer, so it's going to fill it up. And that's it there. And watch, if I actually bring up the opacity, it'll go to the darker color. Do you see that? So yes, you can color and do whatever you want. Any other questions?
Uh, I'll just show you after to make sure if these photos were fine. I just wanted to double check.
What are the photos of?
Well, it was for the ones that because at first I found one, but then he said it had to be like I looked at the instructions, it had to be like a historical photo. I
Mhm.
didn't know if like a black and white photo of JFK would be fine, and then
Yep, that's historical. That's if you want to be JFK, sure.
I found one portrait. I don't know for sure if it's fine. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. I don't know if this was fine for the portrait, like the painting.
Yeah, that's fine. Who
Okay, I
is
was just double checking.
Leonardo? Somebody. Yeah,
I
that's
think
fine.
that was well, I just saw it randomly. I think it's Wilhelm the Second, Wilhelm
Mhm.
or something. I
That's
don't know.
good. Any other questions? I'm excited. I was so excited with the Crimea ones. This is going to be great. And I can't wait to see who you're doing. Torrance, can you send us the copy?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. 6, everybody. Shakia, everybody good? Good. Have a good week.
Uh, the reason I was asking about the photos is because originally I was gonna do like not a historical photo. I found like a black and white photo of a band member that I listened to, so I didn't know if we were allowed to do that. That's why.
No,
Okay. And then
I've got to teach
the
art history at the same time.
and then this is due or the participation's due tomorrow, and then the not the final one's due next Wednesday.
Yeah, everything final, the participation, everything next week. I mean, and once it's due, you do have a chance to redo and update throughout the semester. So
Okay.
that's why I give you all the feedbacks in the rubric. So if you wanted 10 out of 10, fine, just redo it.
Alrighty. I'll try to get this done by tomorrow because I'm actually have a very busy weekend ahead of me.
Okay, sounds good. Have
All
fun.
right. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye bye.